welcome to episode 3 of the JUKEBOX Time Machine. This time we're travelling all the way back to 1976, going into the second week of April. We had a new Prime Minister, the Beatles dominated the top 50 singles chart, yes you heard that right, and in movies, all the president's likely lads returned to the cuckoo's nest. Let's get stuck in and see what songs Brits were buying this week in 76. First up, at number 10, it was Diana Ross with Do You Know Where You're Going To, enjoying its first week in the top 10, later peaking at number 5. And at number 9, it's a re-release of Yesterday by the Beatles. Down from its top position at number 8, it spent 3 weeks in the top 10.
You may know some of the Beatles' oldies have been re-released, and the highest flying at the moment is this one, Yesterday, Dance For You Now by the lovely Pan's People. Here's Cherry.
Okay, let's have a little look at a couple of movie releases and see which films were hot at the box office back then. First up, released this week, was the Watergate conspiracy drama All the President's Men, starring Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman.
CIA?
No surprise at all.
They tripped over clues.
We'd like to see all the material requested by the White House.
All White House transactions are confidential.
It was nominated for 8 Oscars and won 4. One for Best Supporting Actor, Best Screenplay, Best Art Direction, and Best Sound.
There's no way the White House can control the investigation.
All this detective work, the slotting together of a complex and potentially dangerous jigsaw puzzle, is impressively detailed, thanks partly to William Goldman's original script, and perhaps equally to improvisation by the cast and director Alan Pakula. What is also impressive is the camera work by Gordon Willis, which shows that Washington Post ablaze with light, as though it were the very stronghold of purity and truth, while the rest of Washington is dark, secretive and menacing, full of men in black hats, as opposed to the symbolically white-hatted Woodstein. Indeed, the one major flaw in the film is that it doesn't tell us enough about the relationship between Woodward and Bernstein, two men who worked closely together, but didn't apparently like each other that much.
Also out this week was British sitcom turned movie The Likely Lads.
Bob Ferris and Terry Collier.
The film being 90 minutes long isn't quite as sharp or as consistently funny as the 30-minute TV episodes, but the characters are beautifully observed both by the cast and by the writers, Dick Clement and Ian LaFrennais, and generally speaking it's great fun.
Right, these were the films that were hot at the box office back then. First,
Tale, depicting America as a kind of lunatic asylum, with Nicholson as the rebel kicking against the system. The firm, well-intentioned but insensitive establishment is represented by Louise Fletcher as Nurse Ratched. As Nicholson is probably the best film actor in the business, and he's now been nominated 5 times, I reckon his Oscar could be regarded as not only well-deserved, but considerably overdue. I'm not arguing with the choice of Louise Fletcher either, although, strictly speaking, I didn't think the part of Nurse Ratched amounted to much more than a strong supporting role.
And lastly, we have the 4th film in the long-running comedy series. It's The Return of the Pink Panther, starring Peter Sellers as Inspector Clouseau.
He's back?
He's back.
He's back.
Essentially, of course, the film revolves around the comedy set pieces, most of which work pretty well, though even the best of them show signs of that aforementioned self-indulgence on the part of both director and star, and go on to the point at which you realise that you're still wearing your grin even though you don't actually have any further use for it. It's an amiable enough romp, but not as funny, I think, as the box office receipts from America would seem to indicate.
And at number 7, it's Jungle Rock by Hank Mizell. an obscure single originally released in 1953 but enjoyed 7 weeks in the UK top 10 in '76, reaching number 3 for 3 weeks in Britain and hitting number 1 in the Netherlands. Now let's have a little look at what we were watching on the small screen in the first half of April in Birmingham to pick up supply. Right, back to our top 10. At number 6 this week in '76, it's 10cc with I'm Mandy Fly Me. Try me, Mandy, fly me away. The song at number 5 in this week's chart is the brilliant Billy Ocean's Love Really Hurts Without You, dropping down the top 10 after it peaked at number 2 a couple of weeks earlier.
You dress so wild to excite me, but don't you know you're turning me on? I know that it's wrong, but I can't stop the pain inside you, baby. Love really hurts without you. Love really hurts without you. That's breaking my heart.
This week in 1976, Britain got a new Prime Minister in the form of James Callaghan. Labour were already in power since '74, but in March of '76 Harold Wilson suddenly resigned. Callaghan beat 5 other candidates to become the leader of the Labour Party and become Prime Minister. He was personally popular, but his government oversaw massive strikes and the winter of discontent, which saw Conservative Margaret Thatcher take over in '79. In sport, we had the European Heavyweight Championship. British and Commonwealth champion Richard Dunn challenged West German champion Bernd August for the title left vacant by Joe Bugner.
And August hasn't heard the bell and Dunn's over to get at him. And the referee says, right, wait a minute, we'll start again. Tantalising for Richard Dunn. So near, and yet he can't quite clinch it.
Dunn won the fight and was awarded the chance to challenge Muhammad Ali.
And he's got it with a right, and his head is bashed on the floor as he's gone down, but he's got up quickly. And now his right eye is beginning to swell as well. And August hardly knows where he is, but he's come back jolting. Dunn's looking for him now, and he's got him, and it's over. Round 3, Dunn has won, and Dunn goes forward to meet Muhammad Ali. And there's £100,000 for him, as well as the crown that Ali's representative has slammed on his head.
And at number 4 this week we have one of the best. The song at number 3 is Music by John Miles, at its peak position in the chart, spending 8 weeks in the top 40.
And it will be my last. Music of the future, music of the past.
And now, from the people who've given you the car of the year, the buy of the year. Special offers from Chrysler dealers to help you buy your new car now. For instance, there's the combination of low prices and high specifications, special prices, the Protector, special trade-in offers, and more. See your local paper for full details and get the buy of the year.
Well, as far as video games go, the arcade boom was underway and controversial game Death Race had just been released the week before. The game became infamous for its gameplay, which saw players running down humanoid figures with cars. And And the song at number 2 this week is You See the Trouble With Me by the great and sadly missed Barry White. Turn it up.
I'm like a blind man who lost his way. Can't see nothing. I'm like a deaf man who can't relate. I can't hear nothing.
Again, not many notable births or deaths this week, so I'll concentrate on birthdays. Actor Nigel Hawthorne turned 47 on April 5th. Actress Jane Asher turned 30 on April 5th. Anthony Eden turned 79 on April 7th. TV presenter Valerie Singleton turned 39 on April 9th. And actor Joss Ackland turned 48 on April 11th. And finally, the number 1 song in the UK between the 5th and the 11th of April was Brotherhood of Man with Save Your Kisses for Me.
That I've got to work each day, and that's why I go away. But I count the seconds till I'm home with you. I love you. I love you. It's true. You're so cute, honey G. Won't you save them up for me?
And the number 1 song in the US was Now it's on to my forgotten gem. Well, in this week of 1976, the UK Top 50 was littered with 1960s re-releases, including Riders on the Storm by The Doors, Lazy Sunday by The Small Faces, and there were also 6 Beatles songs in the top 50 this week. They were Yesterday, Hey Jude, Paperback Writer, Get Back, Strawberry Fields Forever, and Help. Other acts also had minor hits with 60s cover versions like the Carpenters with Herman's Hermits, There's a Kind of Hush. And my forgotten gem pick, in a week full of songs everyone knows and songs that I've never heard of, is Emmylou Harris with her version of the Beatles' masterpiece, Here, There and Everywhere.
Changing my life with one wave of his hand. Nobody can deny that this song.
Languishing at number 49 in the charts after a drop, it only reached number 30 at its peak and spent 6 weeks in the top 100 in total. Maybe people were getting 60s fatigue at this point, but it's a sweet tribute to one of McCartney's finest songs, although you can literally say that about 50 of Macca's numbers, really.
Someone is speaking.
It's hard to mess this song up, but Harris keeps it simple, adding a slight country tinge with some brief but longing steel guitars and harmonicas.
And if he's beside me, I know I need never care.
But the point of this version is her achingly beautiful voice, which grabs you straight away and demands that you pay attention.
Knowing that love is to share, each one believing that love never dies.
And that's it for this week's episode of the Jukebox Time Machine. Join me next week when I don't know where I'll be, but hopefully it'll be interesting all the same. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, goodbye.
This episode was brought to you by the internet and me, Ed. All voiceovers were recorded on a Yamaha MT-54 track cassette recorder.